Did he call in? Did he call in? He has to call in.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Council, please come to order. Please stand. We'll be led in prayer by Alderwoman Stacey Gould.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Amen. Alderwoman Ella Miles, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone.
Citizen Comment General.
Thank you, Betsy. The person first signed up here to speak here is Ms. Beryl Fishbone, please.
Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. Good evening. Tonight I'm going to ask that if there's any money left in the ARP funds, that money be given to the Norwich Department of Public Works for the deep cleaning of the drains and pipes in the areas of the city most affected by the recent flooding. The vacuuming of the pipes was not enough. The pipes need a thorough cleaning, and I'm asking that an official call be made to the State of Connecticut Highway Department, asking that their drains along the main streets of the highway be cleared of rubbish, debris, and the living trees that have taken root in their systems and poke up above the grates. The City Council has taken money away from the Department of Public Works to support other departments at different times. But now we have the opportunity and the funding to give some of that money back and to put it at work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak under Citizen Comment General at this time? Yes, please. Ms. Filbert.
Good evening, Joanne Filbert, 10 Elm Avenue. I had made a list, and then I crumpled it up and threw it away. The primary reason was, and I'm going to get emotional tonight, the primary reason was that the majority of you don't listen to or care about anything that I have to say. But I will not be deterred. I will continue to come, engage in community affairs, voice my opinion, continue to pay my outrageous property taxes and utility bills. So I feel that I am entitled to have my opinion. Listen to me or not, I don't really care. I do it for my own, it's cathartic for me. It's cheaper than going to a therapist. So I've whittled my list down to 4. Number 1, for the last 2 years, I have been trying to find an emotional support dog. Some of you have no idea what mental illness is. You wouldn't know it if it hit you in the head with a 2x4. But I'll leave you with this. Remember Jason Vincent. Did you think he was crazy? Did you think he was a waste of time? No, you didn't. So everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. So I went today to the Norwich Animal Control Facility again, because in today's society, the correct terminology is animal control facility, not dog pound. You don't call it a paddy wagon. You don't say the cops walking the beat are flatfoots. get in. So I went there because NECOG has it now. As soon as I opened my door of my car, the stench was overwhelming. That building is in such a state of disrepair. It's embarrassing that the city of Norwich turned it over to them like that. My second item is social media. We all know about Facebook, we all know. After the August 11th public safety meeting, Mr. Nystrom posted something on, I'm not gonna, my time's gonna be up, but I would like the opportunity to speak because there aren't many people here. Mr. Nystrom posted something on social media, on his personal Facebook page. He made salacious, derogatory, inflammatory remarks calling out the capabilities of Chairman DeLucia, stating that Mr. DeLucia was skirting his responsibilities. Mr. Nystrom is certainly entitled to his opinions and his posts. He is not, however, entitled to sign them as Mayor Nystrom. It sends the wrong message. Number 3, mask mandates. It's a joke. There isn't a business in this city that's enforcing it. When you ask the question, they say, corporate has told us. I have no tolerance, 0 tolerance for ignorant and selfish people. I can no longer go anywhere. I am elderly. I am in very poor health. So if you're going to have a mask mandate, enforce it. If you're not, don't waste my time with your silly little signs. 675,000 people in this country have died from COVID. The numbers are climbing every single day. There are an incredible, I don't care about your political affiliations, aspirations, there are a lot of ignorant people in this country, a lot of ignorant people, and they put my life in jeopardy every day. Which brings me to my last and probably most anxiety-causing thing is the fact that for whatever reason, and I wish somebody would explain to me why you decided not to compensate the career firefighters for COVID exposure. Did they get it on the job? Did they not get it on the job? We'll never be sure. But what we do know for sure is that while they and the volunteers were putting their lives on the line every single day, the majority of federal, state, and municipal employees were sitting home in their little bubbles, safe and secure. And yet, you, Mr. Salamone, chose to pay or compensate, I understand, certain employees. I can think of nothing more disrespectful, embarrassing, or disgusting than to deny them that. In the grand scope of the millions and millions of dollars that you're going to allocate for special interest groups, you couldn't come up with a lousy $175,000, $200,000 to take care and honor these men and women. So as I said it to Ms. Alderwoman Gould a few moments ago, and I said it to you, I know that you don't care what I have to say. I literally know that you don't care what I have to say. But election time is coming. And most of you are queuing up to get your little piece of the pie again. And you'll be all kissing the babies and shaking the hand. And once the majority of you get in the seat, you forget about the majority of people that put you there. You do. So continue what you continue to do, and I will continue to do what I continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd always like to speak to council under general citizen comment. Please, Sheila.
Good evening, Sheila Hayes, 382 Laurel Hill Avenue. So I'd like to address, and honestly, I'm going to ask all of you. I know sometimes when Mrs. Philbrick, her delivery may err you the wrong way, but a lot of points that she made this evening are actually the sentiments of what a lot of people talk about in the community. So I would just say you may want to take some of the things that she has said this evening to heart and really think about how you may want to address it, regardless of how it may be delivered and who is delivering the message. On another item, the roundabout downtown, which I know it is not complete. I will say to you, I was when they said Friday it was reported that it was complete, I was looking at the skirt where the trucks are going to go, and I was having an oh my God moment. How are trucks supposed to go up on that skirt? But I understand there's still paving that needs to take place to make it more level and even. But what I do want to point out is just a reminder. I know I've spoken to some of you, and I've spoken in front of this podium to all of you, is that this is an opportunity for the city of Norwich to look at putting some type of public art. Many cities put public art. It does not have to be a permanent structure. It could actually be a structure that is rotated, every couple of years or whatever the time frame, that would actually enhance the theme of downtown, whatever that theme may be. So that's one of the ways that other communities have used roundabouts and not make it a permanent structure. So as the downtown changes, you can change what the sculpture or the public art looks like or whatever. So I am going to advocate, once again, that there be serious consideration as to what type of or some type of public art be put into the roundabout downtown, and that there's several groups that I'm sure would be interested in helping the city pursue that. And as far as the balance of the ARP money, I hope there is more consideration also given there are other departments in this city, not just the firefighters and the police. There were departments right in this city who had to work. They did not have an option not to come into work. I think, you may want to have some conversations, find out who those departments were, have a conversation, and see what impact COVID, 18, now 19 months of COVID has had on those departments. Because Mrs. Philbrick, I will tell you, is right. Mental health, mental awareness, all of that. It is out there. We are living with it every day. It is getting worse. So please think about taking care of your employees the best that you can as a mayor and city council, and to the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Grippo?
Hello, Greg Grippo, 209 Boswell Avenue, Norwich, Connecticut. This little part I'm speaking of is in relation to one of the resolutions, but that'll come later. But I want to bring up 13 Baltic Street. It's a city-owned property. I brought this to the attention of the Dangerous Building Committee, I believe 6 years ago. I believe I gave everybody at the city council at that time 5-page study of the Dangerous Building Committee and how ineffectual they were. And that continues today. If there is no committee meetings anymore, I don't know why they can't utilize Zoom. But that being said, 13 Baltic Street, again, city-owned property, plywooded windows, graffiti, overgrown, windows that aren't plywooded or busted. I saw that there was the recent in the agenda about monies given to fix up city properties, which I just kind of find it ironic. I don't think the city of Norwich should be in the landlord business. I think it's your responsibility to, if you have properties, to dispense of them in an efficient manner and get rid of them so other people can deal with it. That being said, I just would like to see something done. It just is, this was 6 years ago. This has been, I don't know what the legal problem is with getting the title or something like that, but there's no excuse. It's bringing down or just does not make my neck of the woods or neighborhood any better. And you're at fault. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council on the general? Yes, sir. Rodney?
Good evening, Rodney Boyd, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. I own a piece of property at 89 Rockwell. I had 5 feet of water in and around the house and in the basement of that house. The basement of the house is ground level. The lot isn't so big that it would garnish 5 feet of water. It blew down a heavy cement block wall. That wall is this thick and it's 8 feet high. And it blew that wall down and spread it all over the neighbor's lawn in the back. I have a storm drain about 60 feet off the main drag. And the water came up through that storm drain, not down through, up through. And I checked it out. The storm drain itself is only about 2 feet deep. And so I was able to get down there and take a look at it. And I got a couple of pipes going in it, and one pipe going out. And I am not going to have another 6-foot bunch of water coming in that place again. It's just not going to happen. 6 feet, guys, that's that high, and in a place as big as this room right here. That's inside the building. On the outside, there's that much, and then it takes up the whole lot. I contacted Public Works, and I got some diagrams of where the drainage and that kind of thing goes. And it has to be taken care of. I don't know where that water went down McKinley Avenue. Never did find my trash can. So your attention to something like that would be greatly appreciated. I don't think we've done enough in that particular area as far as drainage. And I understand I'm not the first person in this city to get a home drain, but this basement is ground level. It isn't a basement as such that you have to go down into it. This is a ground level basement, and the stone wall is the cement block wall is something that was put up by Elson Butler some 65, 70 years ago. But it does need to be addressed, because if you see those cement blocks all over my neighbor's house on McKinley Avenue, I'm going to hire a contractor to pick them up for him. But it don't need to happen. Thank you. Oh, and that house on Baltic, that's been a problem, and the title's always been deed. So, you know, do something with it. I'm not going to fix it. I'm up to damn old.
Thank you, sir. I'd just like to speak on the general citizen comment. Anyone else on the general citizen comment? Is there anyone else on the general citizen comment? Seeing no one else, I then declare it closed. Thank you.
Second reading and action on the below ordinance previously presented. An ordinance amending Section 8-74 and 8-75 of Article 4 of Chapter 8 of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to Volunteer Firefighter Relief Fund Plan of the City of Norwich.
At this time, I entertain a motion to bring this to the floor, please. Alderman Wilson, second Alderwoman Ella Miles. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
No, do you want them online?
Yeah, please. Just pause for a moment, please.
Hello,
Alderman Nash, Betsy Barrett. We're taking,
Betsy Bear.
you're on speakerphone,
Okay,
and we're on item number 1, second reading and action, and we're doing a vote right now.
and that's the Fireman's Relief Fund, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman DeLucia?
Yes.
Alderwoman Niles?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
No.
Alderman Nash?
No,
President Pro Tem Bencourt?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 5 to 2.
Motion passes 5-2.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is the city manager's report for September 20th, 2021. Meetings attended included state representatives and legislators, Southeastern Council of Governments, Southeastern Area Transit Board meeting, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, Connecticut Interlocal Risk Management Agency, Region 4 Emergency Support Plan, NCDC Board meeting, and NPU City Coordination meeting. I also met with the program managers for the American Rescue Plan to inform them of the next steps the city will be taking in the process. I also attended the September 11th memorial program that was held at City Hall, Freedom Bell Plaza. Thank you to those that organized and participated in the moving tribute that affected so many of us 20 years ago. Storm Ida, which occurred on September 1st and 2nd, severely impacted and flooded several parts of Norwich. Since the storm, various city agencies have been assessing the damage and making repairs, assisting residents and businesses with reporting damage and recording the required information to report to FEMA for purposes of seeking a disaster declaration. As the recovery efforts continue, city agencies will continue to assist the residents and business owners with answering questions and providing them with up-to-date information as soon as it is available. Public Works is still completing some of the final stabilization of washed-out areas, and their preliminary FEMA request for time and materials is slightly more than $100,000 at this point. The Franklin Square roundabout should be substantially complete this week. In addition, there is a Planners Day service planned for October 16th in honor of the late Jason Vincent, at which time some of the green areas will be planted with bulbs and native plant species. The Dunham Street reconstruction bid has been awarded. Unfortunately, there is a long lead time for granite curbing, so only limited construction will be accomplished this fall. The city has received a grant award for this project of $1.44 million. Annual road paving work has been completed in the Teddy Lane area, bringing the seasonal total to 4.5 miles to date, and will resume with High Street and Quaint Street and Pearl Street areas. Recreation fall programs start this week with 40-plus programs for all ages, starting with preschool to adults. Many programs will be held outdoors to decrease the transmission of COVID, and social distancing and mask guidelines will be followed. The program book went virtual for fall 2021 and can be found on our website, norwichconnecticut.org, and through our social media pages. School flyers went out in backpacks through Norwich Public Schools. I also have attached the fire chief's report that was presented at the September Public Safety meeting and the key financial indicators report for August 31st from Controller Josh Portier. And that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Other questions of the city manager? Alderman DeLucia.
No, I don't have a question for the city manager. I just want to inform the public that the city manager's report to public safety was read into the record at the committee's September meeting.
Thank you. Yes, further? Alderwoman Ella Miles.
Yep, actually, I had a couple of things on my list, and one of them, Ms. Philbrook, thank you for mentioning it, regarding the mask mandate here in the city. As far as I know of, the mask mandate is still in effect, and I will gladly call out some of the retailers here in the city, namely Walmart, ShopRite, and Stop and Shop, that do not enforce any shoppers coming into the store wearing masks. Big Y is a little bit better about it. They do have the signs up on their doors that masks are required due to the city mandate. But what is the enforcement? I mean, we've put the information out there that there is a mask mandate in the city, but there's no enforcement, and people are just flaunting it. I myself have an elderly mother who doesn't leave her house anymore. So if she needs groceries or she needs something from the store, we're going out and we're doing those errands for her because she's afraid to leave the house. So that's my first question for you. So where are we at with enforcing the mandate?
When we get complaints, we promptly go to the place of business that has the complaint and explain the mask mandate to the managers or owners. And if there's further non-compliance, then we escalate what the penalties could be up into including fines. We try not to get to the fine level. We try to inform the businesses, and hopefully that works. But we don't go out and inspect buildings to see if there's compliance. We wait to hear from citizens on that. It's the most direct way to do it.
Okay, and my second question also relates to the drain cleaning, because I do agree there are several of the storm drains around the city that have, 3-foot-high plants growing out of them. We also have a lot of citizens in the city, for whatever reason, like to cut their lawn and blow all of the grass right out into the road. And I hope they understand that that washes into the storm drains and clogs them, and it's also a hazard for motorcycles and cyclists that are out on the street. Are there any plans moving forward to have any of these drains cleaned? Personally, there's one on the corner of where my house is, and when it starts to rain, I go out there with my rake and I clean the leaves and the debris off of the grate myself. But we can't expect everyone in the city, especially some of our elderly residents, to go out there and clean the storm drains. So where are we at with tackling that portion?
It's a constant maintenance issue. Before the storm, there was much preparatory work that was done on drains that are in areas that are notorious for flooding. Those are the highest priority. Then we go to other drains, depending on the time and the element of the situation. Now, Obviously, we can't have knowledge of every drain in the city and their condition, and you can only do some of the drains at the time before the rain event. And I do have to remind people that we had 7.5 inches of rain, a catastrophic event, and even storm drains that are clean cannot handle the volume of water that was going through the system at that point. So citizens have to understand that there are certainly some times where the city is at the mercy of a storm beyond our drainage capability. This storm was one of those.
I do agree with that, but if we have storm drains that have plants that are 4 feet high growing out of them, there hasn't been any maintenance on that drain in quite some time.
Might be a state drain,
Okay.
because there's any state highway, the state is responsible to clean those. So I'd be glad to take a look at those if you have a street for any particular one that concerned you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
So I think I'm going to go down first talk about the mask mandate situation. I said this probably last year around this time. You know, I think it's time for us to really get serious about it. You know, when we're opening up another testing site up in Dodd Stadium for individuals to get tests for COVID-19, and we also realize that the flu season is around the corner and all of those other things, it's time to get serious about a mask mandate. I don't want us to be here a month or so from now and people upset because we have to scale back things because we didn't control this before it gets out of hand. I understand people have gotten vaccinated, but we have not gotten to the vaccination levels that are necessary for us to think that we are in the clear. So, you know, I've watched people that have been vaccinated test positive. So we have to be realistic that we are not out of the woods yet. And if we continue to brush this to the side, school is open, programs are happening, people are gathering, we've got to take care of our city and make sure that we're not in a position where we're hurting businesses a month or so from now because we've got to cut back time that they're allowed to stay open or cut back what they're able to do because we're back up to a transmission level that's uncontrollable. And I'm sorry, we can't predict the future. So to say that it possibly can't happen, we've got to do a better job of that communication piece. I've asked this last time when the mask mandate came out, what can we do to help businesses that may find it struggling or as they're struggling now to provide possible mask supplies for those that come in the store or their establishment with masks and different things of that sort. And I would really love, I mean, we as a city put, of course, a mask mandate. I would love for us to put forth and be able to help some of these businesses if we have masks to provide them with masks in order for this to be furthered, because that's the other part. You know, I understand some of the larger businesses that may be able to handle that, but we've got small businesses that are still struggling to pay and keep open that we should be reaching out to help them curb the COVID-19, but also provide them the reassurance that, look, we are supporting you enforcing this mask mandate. So I would like to see us do a little bit better job coordinating that effort. As far as the storm, I asked it last meeting. We sat up here a week or so ago, I think it was last week, hearing residents talk about what they've gone through. There were several people that asked about us providing a pickup schedule, dumpsters, places, and whatnot to get rid of supplies and debris and different things from their homes. You know, you ride through town, you still see piles of debris on individuals' lawns because it's too much for some of them to continuously have pickups. So my question is what coordinated effort is the city planning to do to help some of these homeowners? I know we had several talk about they are not even finished with cleaning out their basements and whatnot because it's just that much stuff that was ruined. So my question is, what is the city looking to do to help with the cleanup effort of getting rid of some of this construction debris, as some of the residents talked about?
In a reasonable amount of time when, as you said, everybody doesn't even have their basements cleaned out yet, we will probably arrange for a special pickup to remove damaged property on various areas. Obviously, it's not the whole city, only areas that had severe flooding hazards, so that's where we'll be concentrating on. And that cost estimate will be part of our disaster cleanup.
Then the next, the next thing for me, and it's an overall theme, is our marketing strategies on events, but also things taking place. I believe it was a beautiful September 11th ceremony. I was able to attend, marking the 20th anniversary of it. However, I believe we've got to do a better job and figure out a better way of marketing, not only events that happen in the city, but, continuously telling people to navigate the city website. That's not easy to navigate. So we've got to do a better job of making customer service a priority when it comes to getting this information out, but also getting people to the places they need to go. And that means social media, our city website, multiple layers to it, but we've got to do a better job when it comes to that. It was a beautiful ceremony, but there were individuals that were unaware of it, and not everybody gets the newspaper anymore. Not everybody is on Facebook. So we have to figure out a way to engage our community, which is a conversation I hope we continuously have with residents, but other organizations as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking to the subject of transportation, we have a free transportation center drop-off this Saturday, no charge. Residents can bring goods there. We had done that a couple of years ago, 4 throughout the year. There is one again scheduled this Saturday at the transfer station. Residents can drop things off. There will not be a cost assessed to them. For Norwich residents only. Alderman Bencourt.
Yeah, just going back, you just mentioned one thing, Mr. Mayor, about something that's coming up, but I was wondering for the city manager if it was possible maybe to even arrange for some dumpsters to be placed in some of these out-of-the-way spots at like Bliss Place or something like that, put a 20-yarder up there or something like that for people to be able to throw stuff into. Just, it's a thought on my end. I know there's a cost involved, but certainly that's something that could be recovered under COVID.
That's a good suggestion. We'll take a look at that, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir. Alderman Nash.
sir, as you know, I'm at a wake in a funeral with my family. I don't have much more time to stay on the phone. Is there anything pressing at this moment that I need to, that we need to address before I go? Because I really can't stay much longer on the line, and I do apologize to all my constituents.
There is the matter of the one resolution for new business dealing with American Rescue Plan. That still awaits our action following citizen comment on resolutions.
And so we're away from that at this time, right? We're not going to get on that vote anytime soon, right?
Yes.
We certainly could. Are there further questions of the city manager at this time? There are not. Okay, thank you. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
I declare citizen comment on the resolution on our agenda this evening to be open. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the resolution relative to funding for the American Rescue Plan at this time? No, respond, please.
Excuse me.
Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. Good evening again. I just need a bit of clarification. At the City Council meeting of September 7th, 2021, $2 million of the ARP funds were allocated to NCDC to support an unyet designated or designed code correction program, and a similar undesigned yet vanilla box program with a $300,000 limit on any allocations of funds for any specific project, and $400,000 excuse me, allocated to businesses with 10 or less employees. Sorry. Micro businesses with less than 5 employees, and home-based businesses. Now tonight, the plan is to give NCDC an additional $800,000 to be given to a single developer for 77 to 91 Main Street. $400,000 as an outright grant for code correction, and another $400,000 as a conditional loan. Thank you. I don't recall reading in the ARP regulations if the ARP funds can be reassigned and reused in different programs. 2026 is not that far away, and that's when the funds disappear. That's also where and how will the repayments be used in accordance to the ARP guidelines. The washing and exchanging of the money is very confusing to me. And I know that when I deal with other cities that are using their ARP funds, this is not something that they can do. So if you guys have a magic formula or a magic interpretation, there's a lot of cities out there that would like to share. I was also wondering, since $2,800,000, representing between 19 and 20% of the total $14 million of the ARP funds, is being given to a single organization, what the reporting of the use of that funds will be like. And since the city manager, Mr. Salomon, Mayor Nystrom, city councilors, Mrs. Gould and Mr. Betancourt, and Mr. LaRose from NPU, are all on the NCDC Board of Directors, it should not be at all difficult to give a quarterly report of the funding, and with a little bit of detail, how all of the city is benefiting from the use of the ARP funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Yes, please, Mrs. Filbert.
Joanne Filbert, 10 Elm Avenue. Some of my comments will seem untowardly, but I am beyond caring. The American Rescue Plan, who does it rescue? Certainly not an elderly, white, English-speaking, disabled, living on a fixed income woman. There is not one thing in what you are proposing that will benefit me. I don't go to the disc golf course. I can barely walk. I don't promote local businesses. I have a business in my neighborhood where Mr. Wilson has seen me numerous times. I will no longer go there. They do not wear masks while they're preparing food. They do not wear masks while they're serving food. We have become, I'm almost 80. I have never seen anything in our country that looks like what we are experiencing today. Not since the Civil War, not since the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower, and God only knows that would have. At some point in time, please look at how you are spending money in this city. I took it upon myself to to meet with NCDC because I wanted to get an idea. I didn't want to stand up here and sound like an idiot. I'm not an idiot. I am an intelligent person. I have lived on this earth for many, many years, and I have survived. And I can no longer endorse the idiocy that takes place here. Mr. Salamone, you talk about people, the voice of the people. If you won't answer my phone calls or my emails, how the hell am I supposed to let you know what's bothering me? People in my age group don't use technology, so advertising something on your I was appalled to see the number of people that did not participate in the 9/11 memorial. Why? Because people didn't know about it. Mr. Mayor, if you can advertise your work with the food bank and the Peruvian flag, you can certainly, there is no dialogue here. We are doomed for disaster. We have been teetering on, so marketing. I've got 3 new hashtags for you. You don't have to pay an advertising agency for it. Norwich, the city that progress forgot. Norwich, the city where dreams become nightmares. And Norwich, Connecticut, the city where dreams die. They said to me today, if you hate it so much, why don't you leave? Start a GoFund page and I'll be happy to leave. I can't afford to leave here, I'm stuck. So you're gonna do what you wanna do. You're gonna give another $800,000 to NCD for another special interest group, because that's what it is, let's be honest. What's the name of their company? Norwich Luxury Apartments, LLC, out of Spring Valley, New York. I hope it succeeds, but I have seen so many other failures in this city that my confidence level is here. So I hope I live long enough to see the fruits of my tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kevin Brown, NCDC. I just want to address a couple of points that have been made up to this point to make sure that it's clear. The Connecticut Council on Municipalities, and I referred to this toolkit the last time I was up here with you folks, does specifically say that municipalities throughout Connecticut, rural, suburban, and urban, are in the process of developing economic programs to provide grants to businesses to revitalize main streets. That is completely within the realm of what the Connecticut Conference on Municipalities established for the use of ARP funds. And then just one other point from this handbook, it simply says to assist small businesses and businesses through a grant and loan program. I would like to say thank you for that $2 million allocation. Sorry, it's hard to breathe through the mask and speak at the same time. I wouldn't say that we are oversubscribed at this point, but we certainly have a lot of folks knocking at the door, including this young couple that sat here and testified during the meeting a couple of weeks ago. They didn't get into detail with you folks. I can tell you that I know the details, and they put a lot of their personal money up front to do code correction on their own. And now that you've approved that $2 million, we can retroactively take care of some of those costs that they put up out of their own pocket. And that is in fact the intent of the ARPA program. I know that the resolution is directly with respect to the 7791 Main project, and I'll just tell you that as we discussed last time, the current economic return on investment to the city of that building is $28,000 a year in taxes. After this $400,000 grant and loan is given to this organization, and after, not until, but after they complete that code correction and that project, it will result in the tax assessment going from $28,000 to $180,000 over the course of 5 years. The net effect over 5 years is this city will have reaped the same number of dollars that were put into it from a public standpoint. And all of that with $800,000 of public money that brings $8 million worth of private monies in on top of it. A 10-to-1 return of private dollars for every one public dollar spent. I hope that you can look at this as a as an investment in the city of Norwich and its citizens and the citizens that it will bring to downtown that will then have that disposable income to spend in retail and restaurant locations, which is all part of recovering from the pandemic and enhancing and revitalizing the city of Norwich. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else under citizen comment, please?
Sheila Hayes, 382 Laurel Hill Avenue. I'm not opposed to the project. I've said that several times. The question I have, because I know it came up the last time and it has come up, that the 400,000 and the 400,000 for the code correction and the other 400,000 in the loan will not be paid out until the project is complete. My question is, because I've heard several dates as to when ARP money has to be expended in full. And that is the question I have is, will the project be complete if you're taking it out of ARP money to meet the deadlines that the ARP has established as to when the funding must be utilized, anticipating that there could be some delays or unknown, unforeseen circumstances as has happened, on occasion in the city when it comes to building or rehabbing a existing facility. So that's the only question I have.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak under citizen comment on the resolution?
Good evening, Chris LaRose, General Manager, Norwich Public Utilities. I just want to reinforce when we have a project like 7791 Main Street, the value that it also brings to utility revenue, and in return, 10% return to the city. This project is scheduled to fully built out, bring in over $100,000 in revenue to the utilities. As is, just keeping the building warm, we're getting about 25%, a quarter of that revenue, just the way it is now. This is not a game changer when it comes to utilities, but what it does is it brings people downtown, it increases revenue, and it also brings in extra businesses that need to support those 41 apartments downtown. So I think it's a good thing for the city and for the utilities and for the council to get that extra 10%. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bob Buckley, NCDC. I just wanted to allay Sheila's fears on
Excuse me,
77.
could you have your address, please?
18 Linden Parkway, sorry.
Thank you.
Just to allay Sheila's fears on the timeliness of the 7791 Main Street project. Within 60 days or so of the signing of the agreement that we have with them, they're ready to break ground and start the work out there. The developer is anticipating it's a 12-month project to completion. I've been involved in many construction projects in my career. That's probably a little bit optimistic, but we're reasonably confident that they can get that done within 18 to 24 months, which is still well within the completion time period. Our understanding of the reading of the act is that the funds have to be dispersed before 2026, which is 5 years from now. That's absolutely a doable time frame. Again, I can't control, or they can't control hurricanes or floods or other acts of God that might happen in between there, but the plan that they have is very reasonable for the 5-year time frame that we have to work with. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on this citizen comment? Yes, Mr. Grippo.
Greg Grippo, 209 Boswell Avenue. Yes, I noticed that the city had given NCDC $2 million from the last minutes, and then I read about the $800,000. I'm going to quote something that you might be familiar with. Whereas these funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024, and can be used to cover costs associated with responding to the negative impacts of the COVID pandemic, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, as well as aid to affected industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality, providing government services previously cut due to pandemic-related revenue shortfalls, and making needed investments in water, sewer, broadband infrastructure. Also, in tonight's, I believe, agenda, it says promoted use under the appropriate categories on the 800,000 on the redevelopment properties of 7791. I'm trying to understand how a developer falls under the category of negative impacts, considering they just came into being 8 months ago. I was interested in finding out that there's 2 LLCs for that same address. Some of the parties there was some interesting notes related to that, but I'm not going to go into that here. I understand the economics, and I appreciate what you're doing, but I feel that this is inappropriate use of this funds. As I heard something in your prayer in the beginning about community good, well, I question whether this is community good. I understand that, but I totally disagree that this is wrong. While I'm talking about that, on NCDC, maybe someone can explain to me why 2 doors down, NCDC owns 55 Main Street, which is about 4 times as large, and if this particular building at 71 just sold for 1.8 million, then why NCDC is now sitting on property that's approximately worth at least $2 million, and we're handing them $2.8 million. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that. Also, the fact that NCDC is located in 66 Franklin Street, well, why aren't they located in their own building instead of paying rent to somebody else? And also, for those members of NCDC, I looked at your website, and there are agendas, but there's no minutes, and there hasn't been any minutes for the past year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on this citizen comment at this time?
Good evening. Mark Block. I'm counsel to NCDC. My office is at 138 Main Street in Norwich. Let me first say that we believe firmly that this project is broad enough in scope to fall within the plan and proper use of the funds. And we believe that this project will go forward, will be completed. We've spent a long time in developing this program with the developer to assure that not one penny of city money or money from this plan goes out to the developer absent the developer meeting all of the conditions of the letter of commitment that NCDC has issued, which includes plans, specifications, financing, and other, I'll call them bells and whistles, that will ensure that this project is fully approved and funded and financed before this money is committed. As Mr. Buckley and Mr. Brown have stated, we've had conversations with the developer who gives assurances that the project can be funded, approved, and built out within the time frame that the council proposes for the encumbrance of the money. So we think that this project as a whole will benefit the grand list, will benefit a part of town that sorely needs further improvements, and that we can bring this project to fruition, and this money can go to the purpose that it's dedicated. And in regards to the prior comments concerning NCDC's ownership of 55 Main Street, that's the subject of an agreement between the state of Connecticut, NCDC, the Mashantucket Pequots and the city of Norwich that goes back more than a decade. That is irrelevant to the proceedings before us and is not a subject that's appropriate for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on general comment, please? Further discussion? Is there further discussion? Citizen comment? Seeing none, then I declare it closed. Thank you all.
New business resolutions. Number 1, relative to funding for the American Rescue Plan.
This time I'd ask for a motion, please, to bring this forward for discussion. Alderwoman Gould, second. President Pro Tem Mark Betancourt. Is there discussion, President Pro Tem?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to make an amendment to the resolution. It will consist of 2 parts. The first one being in the now, therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Norwich section, and after it says 77 to 91 Main Street by, add the words Norwich Luxury Apartments, comma, LLC or its successor. The second change will be adding a new paragraph at the end, and that shall read, and my fellow aldermen all have copies of this, the city clerk has copies of this, and be it further resolved that should the project not be complete by 9/1/2024, the city manager may, at his discretion, reallocate the funds identified in this resolution for a different purpose. NCDC should report on progress on this project on a quarterly basis beginning in December of 2021 until project completion. That's the end of my motion.
Is there a second? Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion on the motion? Alderman Wilson.
So I will say the be it further resolved that he added on a completion date, tentative completion date, but also quarterly reporting and the reallocation I think is important. You know, I think when we talk about projects like this, I mean, I sat up here, last meeting, and part of it was I said, one needed to get an understanding of the project, but also conditions have to be put in place to make sure that we're safeguarding not only the city, but the project, as well as how we do things. So these are things that are kind of consistent with what was added to many of the projects in the original ARP allocations that we passed last meeting. I think it's important that we have an update quarterly on the progress of the project. That way we know where we stand, but also putting a tentative target of when the project should be completed allows for us to be able to know we're not going to come into a window of the project not being complete and the funds not being encumbered before when they need to be. So this gives us that time frame, and it's a good amount of time to realize whether this project's going to get done or not. I will say, hoping that this is a successful project, but again, we have to make sure that things are set in place, and I've had a chance to sit down and talk with individuals from NCDC, and I appreciate them reaching out because, of course, I do have a lot of concerns with the project. But I think knowing that this resolution is part of a safeguard and we know where we stand as far as the funds is important. So I think that's further be it resolved is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the amendment. President Pro Tem.
I promise I'll be quick. Regarding the amendment, the issue really is that the encumbrance date is the end of December in 2024, and we want to be able to make use of any other funds, and make use of these funds should the project fail to come to fruition. That's the main reason for this part of the amendment. And that will give obviously the city manager has some discretion here. You know, if it's off by 2 days, I'm not trying to, hold them over the fire for that. But the issue being that we want to be able to recover the funds and make use of them rather than, miss the date and have to return monies to the federal government down the road. That's not my desire. So that's the main reason for this. And obviously, the quarterly reports, I think, are important. As we go along, I would like to see NCDC be a little bit more responsive as far as presenting to the public. I think the website question was a very good one. We need to get that. That really should be updated. In fact, it needs to be. And but I thank them for doing this project. Now, we first talked about this project. The only time I ever had any discussion regarding this project was somebody brought it up in terms of floating an $800,000 bond. I can't remember the details at the time. And I immediately said, no, that's not going to happen. So at least I'm pretty sure my people would say no. So that was not going to happen. So this is the only opportunity we have for this kind of project, I think. That building has been invested in 2 other times by the city in various bond initiatives. I have no desire to go down that path again, but I'm willing to take this opportunity to try to get a project to fruition with the caveats that the NCDC has outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on Alderwoman Gould.
I was disappointed when this money was moved out of NCDC's appropriation 2 weeks ago. And I'm glad to see that it's back tonight, and I will be supporting this, because we all said the same mantra for years, and we need to put feet on the street. And this is a perfect example of how we put feet on the street in downtown Norwich to continue to revitalize downtown. And hopefully, this project will come to fruition, and as a result of it, there will be more storefronts, more retail opening up to help support the people who are living in these apartments. And there's be retail associated with this development. It's very expensive to try to rehab a building in downtown Norwich. We have to have a mechanism in place after we have vetted a developer to help them do these code corrections and bring these buildings into compliance so that they can be opened up for retail or apartment living. If we don't do this, and I said it sort of tongue-in-cheek 2 weeks ago, that if we're not going to help these developers, then we should take this ARP money or other money and put it in a demo account. Because that's what we'll have to do, is demolish buildings. And I remember the pushback I got when we talked about doing that to the Reed and Hughes, about the smile with the missing tooth. But this is what will happen if we don't help developers that NCDC has vetted to get these buildings with the lights on. As an added bonus, we have revenue to Norwich Public Utilities, which in turn benefits the city. We have our grand list growing, which benefits the city. We have people who are supporting the businesses that are downtown, which benefits the city. So I think that this is a win-win, and with the caveats in place, I'm excited to see this project begin, and I'll be even more excited to see the project completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further Alderman DeLucia.
So I have a question. If this resolution is approved, who's going to hold on to the $800,000 until December 31st, 2024?
Well, 400 will go immediately. The other 400 will be retained by NCDC at that point, because we want to disperse it in a timely manner. They would have to hold on to it, so.
So this last paragraph about you reallocating the money is really moot because you won't.
No, it's not going to go, the 400 will not go to the developer until he completes the project. So NCDC will hold on to that fund, those funds until the project is complete, the 400,000, the separate 400,000. I thought you were asking me who holds on to the money in general. It's going to be NCDC once we transmit the money to them.
And thank you for that, but so this last paragraph that talks about you reallocating the money will already be in NCDC's coffers. How do you then reallocate that money if this project doesn't come to fruition?
Well, we still need a letter of a memorandum of understanding with NCDC pertaining to this project. This is only the resolution to get the money going from ARP. That will be included in the memorandum of understanding about returning the funds if the project doesn't go forward. Remember, we just got this today, so we'll add that to any memorandum of understanding. So it's clear that the funds would be transferred back to the city.
Alderman DeLucia, if you would allow a call Attorney Mark Block up to help with your important question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman DeLucia, in response to your question, we're working on an agreement between NCDC and the city of Norwich. And the agreement will provide that NCDC will requisition the money from the city. But the agreement with the developer is that the money is not paid to the developer until the project is complete and there's a certificate of occupancy issued. So the money will not be going out of NCDC's hands until it's received by NCDC from the city on requisition, and we'll have to meet certain requirements in order to have the controller issue a check to NCDC to pay over to the developer. So money's not going to be going out to the developer until that project is online.
So that's the code correction grant, correct?
That's the loan portion of it also. The loan portion will not go out until there is project financing in place and the project is built out.
And then the code correction grant?
Code correction grant does not go. The developer has to perform the code corrections and pay for the code corrections in front. The code correction money is really reimbursement to the developer for money that they've spent.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you both. Alderman Wilson.
I was just gonna have Kevin Brown come up to kind of give I seen he had something to say, so I figured he might as well go ahead and say it.
Thank you, Mr. Alderman. I just, the crystal clear, simplest way to put this is the money doesn't reside in our hands. The money is called forward from the comptroller at that moment when the code corrections are complete, as Attorney Block just said. So we're not, I know that you're concerned, it sounded like your concern was, how will we ever get the money back if it's already in NCDC's hands? It really never is in our hands. It is in the comptroller's hands until such time as the code corrections are done, all of the paperwork has been verified and validated that it's been done to code and is correct, at which point we turn to the comptroller and we say, we need to cut a check to the developer. So we're not holding it, is all of this, just want to make that clear.
Then we're still on the amendment, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
and
So no,
you still
not
have the
further.
floor.
Nope. nothing
Okay,
further.
thank you. Further discussion on the amendment? If not, roll call on the amendment, please.
Alderman DeLucia?
Yes?
Alderman Miles?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Not on the phone.
We lost him.
President Pro Tem Bettencourt?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
6-0.
The amendment passes 6-0. On the resolution as amended, is there further discussion? Alderman Wilson?
So again, I had a wonderful conversation with NCDC, and one of the things that I've told them, and I'm blunt about what I say and stand by some of the things I said last meeting, is as this project goes forward, I hope, one, we work in tandem. If we're looking to have individuals down here, we look to see how we can bolster what else we can bring down here at the same time. It can't be an effort where we wait for the people to come before we attract other things. It has to be a simultaneous thing, so I would hope that we would work, NCDC as well as others within the business community, to set the stage and tone so that when this project does go online, individuals have places to go for nightlife. Individuals have places to go during the day. We've got to set it up so that that is successful, because the truth be told, when you talk market rate apartments, it's not sustainable if we don't bring the entire package with it. And I've said this, and I'm just realistic as to where we are. So that, I hope, is, a key piece to us doing this project as well. That's tourism, that's economic development, a lot of key pieces that bring revenue not only to us as the city of Norwich, but also helps our businesses that are downtown stay viable and survive. The other part to me that I would say, and I've already said this, is utilizing even this approach with the code correction and the loan. I would hope that as a council and even in CDC, we possibly have a sit down and setting goals. We were asking for quarterly reports, but setting goals as to where we want to see things go. This is a huge undertaking of the American Rescue money, but this is an opportunity for us to build something that can be sustainable citywide, but also setting goals that are measurable, so that when we're sitting up here, whoever's sitting up here years from now has something to utilize, not only this project, but other projects that are going to go through code corrections and loans, but we have a measurable way of benchmarking the success of things. We don't want to go through the same issue that we had of asking questions about the downtown bond program from before that were not trackable because it wasn't something we thought of. So I would encourage, as we move forward, not only this project, but the other projects under the other $2 million, that we set goals and a tone that can be measured no matter what dollar amount is spent on any project, that we have a way of tracking success and also failures. So thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the resolution as amended? Pro Tem?
Just one question, I'll ask it to the group, the NCDC group over here, just, and whoever wants to come up and answer may. How is we got an email from one of our, constituents who asked, I think, a legitimate question, though, is how is the loan program going to be structured? How is the loan going to be structured?
Mark Block again for NCDC. The loan structure really needs to be worked out with the developer. We intend to enter into a loan agreement with the developer, which will track with the developer's own financing so that we work in tandem. There'll be a promissory note obligating the developer to pay back to the city of Norwich in accordance with whatever terms we finally work out with the developer, so that there's going to be a formal loan agreement, promissory note, and other structures attached to that note. So it's, in essence, a standard, a somewhat standard commercial loan, like any developer would enter into with any lender. Any other question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman DeLucia.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to ask for a 10-minute recess. We did not get a chance to caucus before we read this, the amendment and how it impacts this overall resolution. And frankly, I have not had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Brown from NCDC, so I would just like the opportunity to caucus with my caucus, particularly the pro tem, so that we could just maybe review a few of the fine points.
Recess is always in order.
So I'd like to make that motion.
Motion to recess for 10 minutes, is that enough?
10 minutes would be fine.
Okay, second by Alderman Wilson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. We're in recess until 9 o'clock. Council will come back to order. Thank you all. At this time, we have a resolution before us that has been amended. Is there further discussion? There's not. Roll call, please.
Alderman DeLucia?
Yes?
Alderman Miles?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Nash?
Not on
Not with us. President Pro Tem Betancourt?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
6-0.
Motion passes 6-0. Resolution as amended is adopted.
New business, an ordinance appropriating $2,750,000 for the updated design of various improvements and expansion of the water waste treatment facilities, authorizing the issuance of $2,750,000 revenue bonds of the city secured solely by sewer revenue to meet such appropriation, and authorizing the city and the sewer authority to enter into grant and loan agreements and a general resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect hereto.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to raise this for first public hearing on October 18th. It is to be referred to the Sewer Authority of the City of Norwich at the same time, and we will accept any recommendations from the Commission on the city plan if they, in fact, should be needed. I also ask that we waive the full text and reading of the ordinance at this time. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Pro Tem, thank you, and Alderwoman Ella Miles is the second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, vote please.
Alderman DeLucia?
Yes?
Alderman Miles?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Betancourt?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 6-0.
Motion passes 6-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Alderwoman Gould, second.
Second.
Alderwoman Ella Miles. All those in favor, a roll call, please, to adjourn.
Alderman DeLucia?
Yes?
Alderwoman Miles?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Betancourt?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 6-0.
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.